What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tesla Fix. Today we have a very interesting episode because we're going to recap the year a little bit and look at the highlights that happened. We had so much things that were happening this year, and of course also some interesting stuff. I want to go a little bit more into the character of Elon as well and talk about this. And for that, I have a very, very special guest to look into that. So let's see who it is. All right, John, here you are. Thank you very much for joining again. So John from Tesla Owners Silicon Valley is here. So say hi to everybody and then we can start the episode. Thank you that you're here. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I always enjoy coming back to your channel. You're doing some amazing work. So thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to this chat about 2023 and all things Elon.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, this year was kind of crazy. We've seen many things, new things. What were your highlights of the year 2023 regarding Tesla and also maybe Elon? Maybe you can dive into that a little bit. So
yeah, I think I'll probably start more on like the Tesla and EV side, and then we can maybe jump into the Elon stuff. The one thing I would say is that, Elon has been, it feels like he's been just the punching bag of the mainstream media. And again, we can get into that a little bit. But when I think of what, as we're exiting 2023, and when I think of the highlights and the highs and the lows, I think, for us who've been following Tesla like yourself, or who are kind of like living, breathing and following this company and, have a whole channel, I have a whole organization based on this one company. There's so much noise. And what happens is you forget to listen to the signal or the important things that truly matter. And 2023, in my opinion, was Tesla continuing to run towards the signal, continuing to innovate and create at such an insane clip, where you see the exact opposite happening with every other OEM company, legacy, or even some of these new ones. And so Tesla continues to march forward, gain even more market share, continue to put out the best products, and not only put out the best products, but to continue to push their mission forward. And I would say that what you had this year in the EV market in general is because the other companies are realizing that they cannot be profitable or even get close to it within this decade. They started the narrative that EVs are not the way to go. They started the narrative that hybrids are a good option. And, you see Ford cutting production on the Lightning by almost half. Number two, you see the Chevy Bolt stopping production until 2025. And just a year ago, wasn't it like the Chevy Volt was discontinued?
Yeah.
So,
I think so.
Tesla is just is dominating in so many ways. And I remember going to the shareholder meeting and Elon saying the next 12 months are going to be very dark from like a macro perspective, but Tesla will come out the winner and even 100 steps further ahead than anyone else. So, the company is exiting this year with an amazing balance sheet with tons of cash, 26 plus billion in cash, whatever the number is.
I think it is 26 actually. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's insane to think that, all of these other companies are pulling back on, how they're manufacturing. They had the strikes and everything else. But Tesla is just the moat of what they're building is growing. So you also have them, BP just spending 100 million or 100 million euros or US dollars, whatever it is, on buying their parts to start putting at their gas stations. In the US, we had a hotel called Best Western. By 2000 hotels are going to now have those Tesla destination chargers. So not only is Tesla, continuing to help lead the world in electric vehicles, but now they're also becoming the future gas station, not only for what you need to have at a gas station, but everyone is going to now have, Tesla charging stations or destination stations at their locations. And you also have everyone adopting the North American charging standard. So it's, you just kind of start stacking all of these things. And and you start seeing what's happening to legacy auto, and you realize that, again, we've joked for years about, the
Hmm.
competition is coming, and
Hmm.
really it's the gap is getting wider, and it's
Hmm.
almost depressing,
It
right?
is, yeah, absolutely. I agree.
A-
Mm.
And so it's just, so you have Tesla, just setting up and being well positioned to continue to lead electric vehicles. The Model Y is now the best selling
Hmm.
car in the whole world for
Hmm.
gas and electric. It's not just
That's so
electric.
crazy. Yeah, that's so crazy.
And yet, this was one of the most overlooked vehicle launches ever. No one really cared. They were like, "Oh, the Model Y, whatever, it's 10%, 15% bigger, move on." But
Wow,
this
the
has been
Mercedes
the
EQS and stuff. Yeah, they compared. Yeah, I know, I know. Yeah.
exactly, and this was the sleeping giant that, is the bread and butter of the company, that is helping make this company extremely profitable, and putting a Tesla pretty much on almost every, they're getting to the point where it's almost on every continent in the world, every country in the world. They're slowly, again, building that range. And so, and then, you haven't even talked we haven't even talked about Optimus, all the work that the insane
Yeah.
the insane amount of work that's been going into this robot, the insane progress that it has made. They just released a video last week,
Hmm.
and seeing, I went to the Tesla AI Day back in 2022 in September, and it was walked for the first time, and
Hmm.
then just seeing 18 months later, just the amount of progress that they've made, and that it can hold like an egg and determine that it's an egg and not crush it, that it can walk and do so many other things. It can actually even have like a dance party.
Hmm.
So it's just one of those things where, that's kind of what's top of mind, right? And then you also have, they're ending the year with probably the biggest vehicle uh, product launch in the past 40 years. I put out a clip from the Sandy Monroe interview that he
Oh
did with
yeah.
Elon. In 40 years, they probably haven't launched, a more anticipated vehicle. And I don't think I've ever seen a product launch with as many influencers, content creators that have come out and have talked about this vehicle. I mean, the Cybertruck is the most polarizing, and it's probably the best product that Tesla has ever made.
Yeah, I would 100% agree next to the Tesla one, of course, but
Exactly.
damn,
I
it's
watched the hour-long session with Sandy and the 5 Tesla executives, and the amount
Mhm.
of engineering that went into this
Mhm.
new product, the 48 volt, the steer by wire, and just everything that they have done in this vehicle. Even if you
Oh,
change the look of it,
yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah, and I want to add something here because, of course, what they also talked about was the pressurized battery pack that you can go through water a bit, a few feet, of course, not swimming. Of course, the Rivian also has a feature like that. It can even go more deeper into water, but still, the thought of pressurizing the battery pack so no water gets in. I wouldn't wonder if one day a Rivian kind of blows up if they don't do the same thing like Tesla with the pressurized battery. But they talked about that as well. I found that highly interesting. But yeah, please go on. I didn't want to interrupt as much, but that's the feature that I thought
No,
was interesting, overlooked. Yeah.
please interrupt me. Yeah. The other thing that was really awesome was, and maybe you can even add some more color on this if you listen to it, but just how they are able to split the charging on the battery, like doing, like, part of the battery they can charge different portions of the battery at different times.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's just one of those things where, this truck is the size of, if you're familiar, in the US with like an F-150,
Hmm.
the turning radius, the steer by wire turning, like it can turn like this, potentially similar to a Toyota Corolla or something. I'm kind of
Hmm.
making that up as an example,
Yeah.
but the steering is absolutely insane, and this is what they do on airplanes and other vehicles and things like that. So it's exciting. So I guess, they did all these things that we talked about, and then the Cybertruck, they're ending the year with probably the most anticipated launch.
Hmm.
And here you're showing a video of, like, the awesome accessories. I mean, the seats, even in the back row, rise up so you can have more storage.
Yeah.
This can also charge another EV. Also, you can power your home. And it's just one of those things
Crazy.
where, the amount of engineering that went into this is just it's a beautiful thing. And so this company, I think it was even Elon saying, when they made the Cybertruck, they didn't have to bet the company on this. This is kind of just like a fun project, even though it ended up being the engineering alone is absolutely like unreal. Versus like the Model 3, they couldn't be that creative because they needed to make something that looked like traditional so that, the mass population could adopt it. But now the Cybertruck doesn't even have any branding on it. I think it's just some random knob in the front that it's the drainage. That's the only branding that there's no Tesla branding, but this truck in itself is the future.
It's the branding itself. It's the branding itself. I also talked about that on my channel with Florian Minderup from Mr. Green from Amsterdam. He's located there, and he asked me also questions because I'm from the design space. I'm from marketing and design. Yeah, it's interesting. The Cybertruck on its own, the shape, the size, the way it looks, it is the branding. You don't need to you don't need a differentiation factor actually to look at this and think, well, okay, is it a Tesla or not? Even if people don't know what it is, they will ask and people will tell them, and that's why the curiosity makes the connection, and that's why it's such a interesting product. And what I find so interesting is I've looked into this. Maybe for the viewers on my channel, they already know. Because they watched the videos, but will this thing come to Europe, and is it relevant to come to Europe? I know the American market is the market for pickup trucks, but still, I see the Cybertruck as a Trojan horse. If they get this thing approved in Europe, they get every car they're gonna produce in the future approved in Europe. Like with a snap of a finger, because it's the heaviest. It has all the new technology that they're gonna use downstream as well. So I think it's very good. Also, the cyber design with the steel. We've seen in the Sandy Monroe clip that they've reduced the thickness of the steel, also to reduce weight, but maybe also to have it a little bit more soft to give it more pedestrian safety or something. And now we're still waiting patiently here in Europe on the Euro NCAP testing, because this is the last bit and piece that we have this thing on the road. And also, I just wanted to add that Brian from My Tesla Weekend, he stumbled into a very interesting Christmas party, actually, because he wasn't invited into the Cybertruck event, but he stumbled into a Christmas party of Tesla employees, it seems like. And they talked, and they were really interesting. He was very cautious with talking to them, and he didn't spill any beans. That's a good thing. He's very good in that. But what he could tell us was that the lawyers of Tesla actually worked since months to get this thing approved in Europe, and they are working actively on it, which was a huge interesting fact, because the website actually changed and didn't show up for the Europeans. We couldn't pre-order the Cybertruck anymore, but now we have the Cybertruck even listed inside of the drop-down menu, but we can just see the Discover page. But still, this means something, that these are those indications that it might come. And also my pre-order that I have, the picture actually changed to the newer version now, which is also interesting. Just an indication. They changed the website. Maybe they just internationalized it, but still, I'm hopeful, because I've talked with an expert in safety, and he said the lights are no problem, C-by-wire is no problem. The only thing is pedestrian safety. That's the last thing, and let's see what's happening. Yeah. But I just wanted to give you a little heads up, because we haven't talked about this, but yeah, it's interesting
someone there was a really cool meme, at least in the US. So people were like, "Oh, this is not going to be safe for humans or something." Or and I was like, "Well, did anyone talk about the Hummer EV? That thing weighs even more." And it's like no one cared about how much that thing weighed or pedestrian safety until the Cybertruck. So
yeah, exactly.
Just the timing
Tesla
of it.
Bashing. They just want to bash Tesla in that sense. It's
exactly.
Crazy. Oh man, yeah. But so, John, do you think the Cybertruck will come to Europe as well? So maybe you have a little or thought,
Exactly.
thought
So
on this?
I think it's going to come down to the indications from the market of how big is the size of the market in Europe. Right now, we're still trying to fill out the US.
Yeah,
France
of course.
has confirmed that they have gotten 2 million orders. So I think from their perspective, they want to see how many people are going to even buy the Foundation series, because the first
Hmm.
1,000 that they released, I think the orders went like that. I mean, I was one of them that pulled the trigger. And I think they've opened it up to even states outside of California and Texas. And so that could be 5, 10,000 are going to do that. So I think once they kind of get better indicators of even the potentially the size of the market in Europe and how many that they could move there,
Hmm.
they're going to probably, in my opinion, going to optimize it. And it's going to be maybe one or two trims, right-handed
Hmm.
versus left-handed. I don't even know if they're going to go into the UK, because I don't think they're going to make a whole different production line just for certain countries. It all depends on the size, because this is not meant to be a mass market car.
Hmm.
So I think it's still early, but I do think if the size is there and how many Cybertrucks that they can sell, that will
Hmm.
be a really good indicator then to make it
Hmm.
happen. But one thing I do know is that they're not going to do it if it doesn't make sense. That's one thing we all know
Yeah.
about Tesla, for better or for worse. And so I
Hmm.
think it's important to just remember, Tesla's going to make the best decision for them and what makes sense. And so, but I think maybe even the question back at you, like, do you think that the
Hmm.
Cybertruck would do really well even in Europe?
That depends on one big thing, and that's something I found very interesting. We don't know the amount of people ordered from Europe inside of these reservations that we have. So we have around 2 million reservations. Are there 500,000 orders from Europe? Are there 300,000 orders from Europe? And if it's over 100K, I think it makes sense to send it here. So I think to earn that money, but it depends, of course, on the approval. But I think Tesla has an incentive also to do the approval process here as well, in that sense that they need steer-by-wire approved here as well. They need the new metric slides that they used approved here and stuff like this. There are some things that need to be approved here. And also with internationalization, the Cybertruck with steer-by-wire has easy peasy. You can switch the steering wheel from left to right. It should be not a big issue, actually. So I think, I think so. And yeah, that's my take on it. So yeah, what do you think about that? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, even if it was 100,000, the question is, let's say it's a 20% take rate, or 20% of those
Yeah.
100,000 are going to convert. They just have to do the math and make sure it makes sense. But I know that they're doing that, especially if there's indicators that they're working on getting this sold from a legal perspective in EU, to get the EU
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
actually approve it. Then I know that, of course, they've already done the math and they're pushing, and that's the only reason why they're pushing forward. Otherwise, it would be probably refund everyone with the Cybertruck in Europe. But
Hmm.
again, they also may be timing it too, right? They don't want to
Yeah.
just
Of
release
course.
it in US and then refund everyone in the EU yet, because they want to
Yeah.
still create the hype. But
Hmm.
they're going to be making the best calculated decision on how they announce it in Europe or get the approval in Europe.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I also think that even I'm not saying it's gonna come out tomorrow. Of course, we won't get the Foundation series or something like this. I assume, but let's see down the line, maybe in 2 years, I will be fine with that anyway. So I won't cancel my order, and I will stay strong until I get this thing here. I'm still hopeful. Since I'm half American, maybe there is a possibility to import it and get an exemption for this car or something. From the weight perspective, it works with my driver's license still, but I can only load 500 kilos. That's around I don't know how much pounds that is, but yeah, you get the point. It's like 5 people or something. But still, yeah. But they have an exemption now in the EU that transporters get an exemption where you have they can weigh up to 4.2 tons now in the normal driver's license that you have. So again, bad at converting. Should be around 8,000 pounds, 7,000 pounds, something like this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
but
hopefully it
yeah,
makes it out.
mm,
I would love to see
yeah,
it there. I know
yeah,
people would love to see it there.
Absolutely. And I wanted to show something to you because I found it very funny because we had this discussion also. I think this was a big deal. After the Cybertruck released, everybody was super triggered by this thing, especially from Europe. And I found it very funny because everybody was like, no, you can't put this in here. That's unsafe. Guys, we have Ford F-150s driving around here. They could eat up a human talking about pedestrian safety. So I've compiled a little clip. So here is something I wanted to show you for a little laugh. Wait a second. Yeah. So the Cybertruck will never come to Europe, right, Elon Musk? The problem? Pedestrian safety, I wrote. And then meanwhile, the European approved 5th-gen Cadillac Escalade 2023 ESV version, 226 inches long, weighs 6,300 pounds with 690 horsepower and a V8 engine. Pedestrian safe, of course, because this is approved in Europe. So let's look at this. It's a German clip, but I have the translation down below. So that was my comments.
Gibt es aber noch einen ESV, der ist dann noch ein bisschen länger.
And this thing can drive on our roads, of course. So.
Was wir hier bewegen, das ist ja nicht normal.
Schön ist, hast du eine Anhängerlast von 3.500 Kilo. Kannst 8 Personen mitnehmen.
Okay.
Das ist eigentlich das optimale Familienauto.
Perfect family car. Ja.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, I just wanted to do that for my comment section. It was so. Yeah, as you can see, this thing is huge, and this guy is he's a little short, I think, but overall this thing could eat him up easily. And when you look at the Cybertruck, we have kind of a rollover because of the angle. So the Cybertruck is angled. That's why you could roll over the windshield, and that's much safer than getting hit by this thing, of course. So just heads up, it's totally ridiculous. I mean, you know the Cadillacs from the US, of course, and the US viewers as well. So this thing is a ship. This is super long, especially the ESV version. So. And this is approved in Europe.
I mean,
so
the fact that the Hummer EV is approved, you start looking at the Chevy Suburbans, the Yukon XLs that can seat 8, and then that Cadillac is it's the same thing, right? It's when Tesla does something, everyone takes an extra look at it, but when other people are doing stuff, nobody cares.
It's absolutely that's absolutely true. So this was the Cybertruck section. We have many things. I think the V4 supercharger was also very interesting this year. Of course, that they brought that out, and the charging speeds of the Cybertruck now being 250 kilowatt hours plus. They said plus, and now we know it's kind of 350 even on the V4 supercharger. I think Franz told that in an interview. That's what I was thinking. And what else? What else did we have this year that was so spectacular, in your opinion?
Man, it's hard to think of everything.
Pinpoint
but
one thing.
I would say, I would say, there was tons of updates with full self-driving as well.
Yes.
There was a lot of software updates. I was the original public tester. So I've been testing this for 3 years and 3 or 4 months. And this year, I believe something, I think Chuck mentioned it on a Spaces today. I think we've had 16 FSD updates this year alone. So, we're all still waiting for FSD V12, which will not be a beta version anymore. And who knows how long that's going to take. I'm not going to put a timeline and beg for it, because it's one of those things you just can't rush. But it's just one of those things where, full self-driving continues to make huge headways. And we all know the way that Tesla is solving and tackling this problem is from a general perspective. And we also saw what happened to Cruise. Unfortunately, they had a insane accident where it literally ran over a pedestrian, or it was on top of a pedestrian, and that whole business now has collapsed. Leaders have left. They've pulled a ton of funding, and they're no longer able to have autonomous cars in San Francisco. But that whole business has flopped now. So it's just one of those things where, Tesla's the full self-driving has made, huge steps forward this past year as well. We obviously talked about Optimus, right? Or we haven't talked about Optimus yet as well, but
Yeah.
Optimus is going to be an absolute game changer. There was a video of even Amazon starting to test robots in their packaging facilities. But what Optimus is going to do is it's going to change our daily lives, to the point where I think even Elon has said that, if this thing is up and running, at that point, you're going to need your universal basic income, because with AI and bots, there's going to be a lot of stuff that is just going to jobs that it's going to take, and things that it's just going to change. And so again, just imagine, you're at home, dishes are being taken care of, trash is being taken out, rooms are being cleaned. Even when you go to checkouts, if you need help, you can just talk with robots and other things like that. But the progress of Optimus, I've been watching like Boston Dynamics from afar for years, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like this at all. One thing that was interesting too, actually, a shout out to Hans, he actually called it out. So you see the light bar, the light blue light bar. It's cool that they made that similar to how the Cybertruck is as well. So they're starting to,
of course. When I saw that, I immediately thought of that this is going into the vision of the whole new category of the cars, and we will see more and more of that. And I think Elon's kind of dream, and this is also a perfect transition after the bot, we're going to dive into Elon a little bit, I think, is also, it fits so much to the whole design aesthetic of the rest. It's a futuristic robot that I could totally see inside of the Cybertruck being deployed and walking out of that thing. People always write, oh, you should drive a car. That would be the best thing. That would be totally unnecessary, because this thing doesn't. Because the cars can drive themselves, of course, but still the robot, the aesthetic, the light bar, totally on brand in that sense, on the new updated versions. And it makes also sense to see what the robot is doing. If it has a color stage on the head, for example, it's red, it's yellow, it's blue, kind of have a little bit insight on what it's doing. For example, if it's doing a special task, then the color could change on the line or something. So I think this would be very good. Yeah, but yeah, please go on. I didn't want to interrupt. So yeah, the light bar and everything.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's just the progress that we've seen, right? I think even in some of the first videos, it was able to be able to kind of tell the colors of different objects and put them in the right box. And now it's able to not only do that, but it's able to see like an egg and notice, okay, this is delicate, so I have to be very careful when I do it. But for them to be making this type of progress, I don't think I've ever seen this with other robotics companies making. But the crazy thing is that because they're solving real world AI with full self-driving, they're able to take that framework and put it into a bot to be able to operate around your house. And obviously, we know, I would assume, driving is a lot harder than walking around a factory. It's a lot harder than walking around your house and doing like regular activities. And so it's one of those things where you're able to see stuff that they're already doing and move it into a robot. And the amount that this bot is learning is insane, because all they have to do is just train it through the neural network with videos and give it more and more feedback on how to correctly do various things. And that's how it's going to learn. So, I mean, that's how FSD is right now.
Yeah.
And then it can even dance too.
Yeah. We see that. And this is the great thing that people mostly overlooked. I've also had Scott Walter on recently, which this video totally blew up, as we know. You also commented that we're very hyped about that. Yeah, thank you very much. I also didn't expect that, but I'm gonna temper my expectation for the future still. I'm a little bit. I don't know if I can recreate it, but it was perfect timing, I think. But on this, I've also seen the comments, and I've seen it time and time again. Oh, this is new. This is actually so another Tesla bashing all over. And I was thinking, no, Boston Dynamics doesn't do the same thing. It isn't the same thing. Can it do backflips? Is doing a backflip thing that is important in the job description of a factory worker? I wouldn't say so. So this doesn't make sense. Tesla wants to build a mass production utilizable robot that can see and tag and learn and have a neural net, a real-life vision AI system inside, a FSD kind of deal that was maybe a little bit adapted to the robot, but still, I think this is overlooked. The brains of it's the important thing, the brains of the Tesla bot. The rest is even impressive. It's about the mass production. So the actuators are designed to being mass produced and not by hand. I mean, you can build 10, 20 Boston Dynamics prototypes, but when you want to go into the thousands, it wouldn't be possible. So that's why, I mean, of course, robotics companies are doing great stuff. That's also a forefront of engineering. Every company nearly does great robots, and Tesla bot is also one of them. But the difference here is that they have so much synergies in Tesla that they can utilize inside of the Tesla. And that's the big takeaway, I think. Yeah.
And also, too, it's going to be one of those things, right? This is going to be another sleeping giant. We all know the implications that this could have on the valuation of Tesla down the road. But right now, like, for example, the biggest sleeping giant that Tesla has had recently has been the battery and storage business and solar. And now you're starting to actually see, like, I think there were some stats. So keep me honest here if you've seen the stats, but like the actual amount of out of like 100 batteries that are going out for solar panels and other things, 50 to 70% of it, I believe, is Tesla, if not more. And so it's just one of those things where, Tesla is this business, the Optimus business. It will probably be similar to the battery and storage business as it is now. Is like the battery and storage business, and even solar business is starting to ramp. Like people are going through crazy, they're going through a lot of issues with renewable energy in general, or just having energy. And we all have the sun, like no matter pretty much where you are, unless you're in Antarctica or other places, you're going to get the sun. And it's a free source that all you have to do is stick solar panels and be able to store it somewhere, and you can power anything and be completely off the grid. But that business is very profitable. And so it's one of those things where that is going to be the case, I think, for this bot. As they're slowly developing this, it's going to be kind of like a hidden gem. And at some point in the next 5 to 10 years, you'll start to see it, like, when they actually are able to produce it and put it in homes. That's where you'll get that big multiple right now, where it's like, as we all know, Elon has said, Tesla is a bunch of startups within one. So
it's like
they
an
have
ETF.
Exactly. So I think the call out is that this is, no one should be, I think, in my opinion, this is all us knowing that Tesla isn't a car company. We know it's a bunch of different companies. It's not necessarily something you should be baking into your insane valuations of the future.
Of course.
But it's definitely one of those things where we all know what this is going to do. We all know that this is going to change manufacturing, deliveries, like home life, and other things like that. And Tesla's going to be the company to do it. And so as solar is now producing and ramping and starting to be, the business that Tesla should be leaning into, this will down the road, I think, is gonna play into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I found so interesting is Tesla wants to utilize more and more vertical integrate the crucial parts that they can't be, that they can't rely on actually, or having the risk to rely on third-party suppliers. They're going to produce it in-house. The batteries, for example, are one key component for them. That's why they produce the 4680 batteries. Are they at the rates that they've announced at Battery Day? no, that was just their future plans to get to the like 50% cost reduction and over 50% better performance and stuff like this. So also the performance of the batteries right now and the utilization is around like, I don't know, a little bit still higher. So they are not as not really better than the 2170 batteries that they are using, but still they are in-house produced. That's the big thing here. Exactly. And as well is when you produce batteries, you kind of have some batteries. We've seen videos of these almost those cabins where they put the batteries in, or those those boxes where and they charge the batteries and discharge the batteries to check how much you can charge them. How is the utilization of the single cell? And the thing is, if you have a bad utilization, guess what? You could put that into a gigapack, for example. And that's the most important thing. They can shift if they have a good batch of batteries and a batch that isn't as good. They could use it for a different product in that sense. That don't have to destroy it and recycle it. They can just put it into another product, like the Powerwall, for example, because then weight isn't really an issue. They can put more, or I don't know, kind of. That's my thought on that. Or even if we reach saturation in the car market, they're going to shift to a different category and just put the batteries inside of that. It's so simple. It's absolutely astonishing.
And it's interesting too, because they have Franz, or I think it could have actually been Drew who said this, where sure, they could have made the Cybertruck 500 miles, but what they decided to do is put less cells in so that they can make more electric vehicles and put the range extender as an option, because I think even Sandy said like the average American is only driving 40 miles a day. And so it's just, you don't need 500 miles. And so, I know I was a little bit disappointed on the range, but I also now understand, like, I'm not thinking about it from like a supply chain and operational perspective. I'm thinking about, you told me this, I'm getting this.
Yeah, that's true. But I also agree there. What my take on that is that there could be down the line, if the utilization of the battery increases or the battery gets more efficient, that's what I mean, to the rate that they announced at Battery Day that they are targeting. So also with the silicone cathode and anode, I'm not a technician there, that's why, please, not an engineer here, so please cut me some slack here, but there are they could do some improvements into the battery that battery is more efficient. That means they could extend the range afterwards when they reach this point, and I think we're going to see a Cybertruck with 400 miles down the road, for example. I can really see that, because then they don't have to put more batteries inside. The batteries they have inside are more efficient, for example, and aren't even heavier. That's the thing. And the range extender, of course, is also a game changer, because then you can swap the battery if that's possible. We don't really know that. I haven't seen something, but it would make sense that you could lift this thing up. And also, if you have a construction company, I think you can swap out a big battery in the back. I think that could happen. And if that's the case, then it's easy. When you know, we have to tow something very heavy, or over a big hill, we're going to put the range extender in. We can pre-charge these things maybe in the office or something. And that's my thoughts on that. So,
but yeah, either way, the Optimus business is going to be big. It's definitely something that we all know is going to be a slow process to ramp, and also at the same time going to be very, very exciting to see how it grows and how it gets better. Especially, what I'm looking forward to is, when can they start putting these things in their own factories? That's the best testing place for all of this stuff. So absolutely, and the thing also is, they need also more data from the bot, because they want to feed their neural net, and they need to get this thing ASAP out into the factory floor, that the thing can learn even more. And if they have more and more bots being utilized already in the factory, then the data stream will get bigger and bigger. And of course, that's FSD12 actually. So I think we're gonna see interesting stuff there. And so how do you see, what's the most exciting thing for next year? Maybe we can switch over that, and then we talk about Elon a little bit. But I mean, it's very much to talk about. But yeah,
What do you think? For me, at least, it's
so-
it's AI day. It's yeah, it's
no, what did you want? Yeah, did you want to share it first?
no,
Go
no, no,
for it.
no, no. I just wanted to say that, and then you. Sorry, I didn't want to. I was so excited.
Yeah, exactly. So, several things, right? I think from a industry perspective, I'm excited to see, the impact of the past year of the bad economy and how that plays out with the
Yeah.
legacy auto and others. So I'm just looking for like the overall story. How is that going to play out? But also too, like what I'm looking forward to is how does Tesla continue to capitalize, on the struggle of all of these other companies, and how do they continue to make wins and do layups from a basketball standpoint? Like, how are they
Hmm.
continuing to score and win from that perspective, just as a company in general?
Hmm.
The things that I'm excited about is full self-driving. I would love to see FSD 12 happen next year. I want to see big steps for autonomy. I want to see the car continue to get better. I'm looking forward to the Cybertruck ramp. I'm personally waiting for my truck. I literally
Yeah.
am keep checking the app every day to see, like, if there's any updates. But my order's in for the Foundation Series dual motor. So I got all my ducks in a row to potentially make this happen. And so I'm literally just, waiting.
Checking
So,
the app.
so
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So nothing yet, but yeah, so nothing yet. But either way, so I'm looking forward to full self-driving, the Cybertruck ramp. I'm also looking forward to the ramp of the Tesla Semi. So I've had the
Hmm.
privilege. I don't know if you've been seeing some of my videos. I've had the privilege to kind of be semi-stalking some of these semis. I've seen them around. I ended up
Hmm.
out in the Manteca area where they have the Frito-Lay,
Hmm.
one of the Frito-Lay facilities, like transportation facilities for where they do all the loading. I saw 3 semis there, and
Wow.
not Franz, I believe it was Drew or Lars. They said that there's 100 in the fleet right now in partnership with Tesla. So I think, some are some are owned by PepsiCo, and I think some are actually owned by Tesla. But either way, he said like 100. So they're just
Wow.
getting lots of data. So when I've been doing
Hmm.
these drives, I've been seeing Tesla semis that are just white, that are not
Hmm.
Frito-Lay or owned by PepsiCo, doing like runs as well. But
Hmm.
I've also, again, I saw 3 Frito-Lay PepsiCo semis just all loading up and then heading out. And
Hmm.
I'm really excited to see these on the road, because the mass majority of even emissions is coming
Hmm.
from
Yep.
trucking. I think it's like
Hmm.
80% of all of emissions in the world is coming from trucking. So, and the routes are the same. It's the same, like, mile back and forth. The route doesn't ever change. And so to see these trucks on the road and making an impact, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing that actually go into production. I'm also just, looking forward to seeing more information on the Robo Taxi, or the $25,000
Yep.
car, or the Gen Platform 3.
Mm.
Again, I watched the video last night of Sandy Monroe and Elon, and he was talking about how the production line, he actually reviews the production line every week. And he
Mhm.
said that the manufacturing innovation in this next platform is going to be out of this world. And so I'm really, really excited for that. And then potentially looking at new products. Like, are they going to release a van? Are they going to do a bus? Like, whatever that is going. So that's kind of like on what's on my roadmap. And then in the US, waiting for the 3 and Y refresh to hit our markets. That's going to be exciting. I've
Mhm.
actually seen one of like the Highland without it covered in Palo Alto as well, which was pretty cool. But either way, those are probably the top things, and there's so much more. But it's
Mhm.
partially like I want to just see how is the narrative of the auto industry going to play out next year.
Yeah.
And then, looking for updates on FSD, future products, the Tesla Semi, the Cybertruck production
Ramp.
ramp, the Robo Taxi. So and then potentially new products. So, and then again, the sleeping giant is still going to be solar and
Energy.
storage and battery. But and then, you know, from a macro perspective, from an economic perspective, hopefully seeing these crazy interest rates come down, because to borrow money, it's becomes literally just unaffordable for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so buying a car has just, unless you're paying cash or something else, people have just kind of been priced out from a
Mm-hmm.
monthly payment perspective. So hopefully the Fed has kind of indicated that the rate should be going down next year. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it makes absolutely sense. I think you touched on very much points. For me, it's like I said before, was AI Day is a huge thing for me, because I think we're gonna see the implementation of Grok AI with the Tesla bot, and we're gonna see a demo in that. That's my speculation there, and this is totally exciting because I think this also ties into the next topic that we want to look into a little bit, is of course the narrative around Elon. Also the Cybertruck ties into that as well, because it's a kind of a vision of him. And we had 2015 Elon, where the dual rockets boosters landed at the same time at SpaceX. This was the point for me where I was like hooked immediately. I was like, okay, this is the most inspiring thing I've seen over a huge amount of time. I haven't seen anything, maybe not even before once, that was so inspiring to see. This is something the humanity should work on. These are the kind of level that we need to get to, and it was so astonishing. And then we had the things he said, and he was so inspirational a long time. And then suddenly we had the political shifts in the U.S. and the political ties pushed to the left. Also the divide in all the societies around the world. I would say it's totally crazy that also the internet did a great deal to separate people more or less into the own filter bubbles, and also the algorithms work this way that like extreme content gets pushed more. That means we are more exposed to it, and then we think in the middle, like most of the people are in the center, I would say, but then they are like, what's happening? Okay, people, and then it kind of radicalized everywhere from left to right. So that was something that I've witnessed, and now Elon is here in the middle of that and sees that and has to react to that. And I think now we've lost kind of this inspirational phase, or the inspirational Elon, but I think with the new products and the new line now, it's gonna shift maybe back to that again, because I think being passionate about the future and positive about the future is very important. And for me, at least, the narrative of always fighting the evil is, it doesn't feel as inspiring as the rest, but I agree, and I think it's important to point stuff like this also out. But that's just my discussion I had with Ross on my last interview as well. So I'm still a little bit thinking about this topic, because I haven't made up my mind really. But I think he is the inventor of our generation. It's the Nikola Tesla. It's the Thomas Edison of our times, and with that genius, you also get a lot of impulses maybe, and a strong leader, and sometimes somebody who's totally exhausted, and sometimes somebody who fires somebody because he didn't put in the work in that sense, or said something wasn't possible. That's something that triggers Elon, of course, because he's so much pushing to the forefront. And yeah, if you go to the new frontier, it's crazy. That's just my take I wanted to do for the transition here. But please, maybe you can also jump in here and think about that. I also have a small clip that I want to show you soon, but maybe you can.
So I guess is the question more of like kind of like what phase of Elon are we in right now, or what is like I think people, like, if we step back, I mean, it's crazy to think we're hitting 2024 in a couple weeks, but you know, at that point we are 6 years away from, you know, production hell, from, you know, all the stuff like SpaceX and all these companies potentially going bankrupt, and so, you know, during those times, obviously Elon was very focused on specific things. I do think that Elon has always been, it's probably just, you know, because there's so much more focus on him as a person now because of who he is, versus in like 2018 or even before that, probably like 2015, 2014, people didn't care as much about things that he was saying. But he has always been, in my opinion, he has always been a person that will speak his mind. He may not have had the type of platform or even own a platform like X now or Twitter, but he has always been honest with how he feels about specific things, and now I think he feels that he has a platform, an opportunity to make good from his perspective on what he can drive change in, not only with cars, EVs, in the social world now, Neuralink, Boring Company. He now is like, oh, all right, I have a platform that he legitimately actually owns now. Not legitimately, but that he owns, whereas before he was just on Twitter and,
Yeah,
posting stuff.
I
But
get
now
you. Yeah.
he owns a platform. And so for him, if there's things, from a humanity perspective that he can help change, he's going to do it. And I think that in the US, like, unfortunately, we have treated him like a doormat. I remember talking to his mom, and she said very much so that, like, in the US, I don't get it. Like, I'll travel
I
anywhere
don't know.
else in the world,
Yeah.
China, all these other places, and they all love Elon. They love what he's doing because of, sure, the things, the inspirational things that he's doing. But we all have different views that people will not agree with, and sometimes maybe we are limited in what we're willing to share, even though we may
hmm
be thinking certain things.
hmm
Whereas he's just going to be a little bit more vocal about stuff. And I would say that partially why he has become, I think, a little bit more outspoken, is because that, in the past, the Democrat Party specifically had been huge supporters of Tesla and everything else that he was doing,
hmm
especially with climate change and everything else. But then it
hmm
became one of those things where, with the new administration that's here, he has been way overlooked to the point where it's not even funny anymore. Like, they would,
Yeah.
Elon or Biden wouldn't even say, and this is not
Tesla. Yeah.
this is
No.
exactly, this is not me
Yeah.
taking a political side. This is me just giving you
No.
the facts. He would
hmm
not say Tesla. They did not invite them to the EV summit.
That's so
And they even
ridiculous.
said that Mary was leading the EV revolution, and
hmm
now she's shut it. She, like, they can't even produce, any EVs at this point, really, right? Like, they're shutting all of their production lines pretty much down with the Chevy Volt or Bolt and Volt, and it's just one of those things where, even now, there's other things happening where, on a lot of administrations, government administrations in the US are poking holes and trying to come after him. But
hmm
even before all that, it's just one of those
hmm
things where he noticed a huge shift. It was like, hey, this is my base of people that used to back me. They're now,
hmm
and I even helped potentially, like, I assume he voted for Biden because I think he said he
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
vote.
He did. Yeah.
And
But
so
he
it's one of
did.
those
I
things
think. Yeah.
where this is the base of
Democrats. A lot
people,
of time.
yeah, that he even helped get into office, and then now they're snubbing him. And
Mm.
so he's like, that's why he's vocal now. So I think he kind of has a chip on his shoulder. He did have a rough upbringing, so for him, he's not gonna be bullied like he
Mhm.
was when he was a kid. He has, a platform, and he will be vocal about it. And so,
Mhm.
but I think even you and I talked, the last time I was on the show, or the previous two times, like, he's gonna speak his mind. This is what comes with it. But it's good for, like, people like you and I who follow him, follow his companies, to
Mhm.
have that understanding with that. And so it's one of those things where, you may not like what he has to say. You may
Mhm.
not, like all the stuff, but the impact that he's going to have. I mean, all the stuff he's even doing on social, all of the other companies are starting to copy them. Like, for example,
Yep.
Google starting to do community notes now. And a lot of the other
Yeah.
companies have started running verified and all this other stuff. So it's just one of
Exactly.
those things where he realized he's taking the greatest mind, right
Mhm.
now, like, he's the greatest engineer of our time. He's the inventor of our time. He's taking that mind, and he's like, social, or more of like, let me create a platform. And and so what's going to happen in X? It's going to become the most advanced platform that we will see. And so it won't matter if companies are playing catch up, because he's continuing to innovate and go like kind of like a rocket, just continue to go straight. Like he's even said patents are stupid. And it's just one of those things where it's like he doesn't have time to go do the legal work for patents. He's focused on creating and innovating, and that's what he's about. And he realized like, hey, I have to charge a fee on this platform to get rid of all these bots. And it was bad for a long time. I had a big following, and I have a big following, and the amount of bots on there was insane. And now they're pretty much all gone in a year.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
Like,
that's true.
Yeah. So, I think, So, but back to you.
I just wanted to add something here, because I find it very interesting. I think the acquisition of X and Twitter, I've also talked with Ross Gerber. Of course, he's an institutional investor. That means he has also a fund. That means he's very emotional about this thing as well, because if Elon does something bad in the news, speaks his mind, he's gonna stir up chaos. And fund managers don't want chaos. Of course, they want to have a very nice CEO that doesn't do anything bad, that isn't public, and anything. But you don't get that with Elon, because and Ross didn't deny that as well. He is the inventor of our times. But what's interesting is that Elon had the plan of making a social media company since PayPal. Actually, it's so old. Why did he have the X.com domain? He still kept that. I think he had something like this in his mind for a long, long time in his playbook. And now with the acquisition of Twitter, he had the chance to now put it into fruition, because he saw that all the other social media companies started to censor stuff. And it's true. We are totally restricted also here on YouTube, for example. If I would say certain words, for example, I'm going to be tagged, and those things are bad, and then the video performance will be down. And something like that is, disappointing or not good for overall discourse, because for the free flow of ideas, actually, you need an open platform. And I don't really 100% agree with putting, I don't know, Alex Jones on the platform and stuff like this. I'm a little bit critical about stuff like this, but I didn't make up my mind right now still about this. I have to think about that even more, because it's a highly complicated topic, because radicalization is a problem. And if you give everybody a platform, that's one side, then it could be dangerous that people are influenced. And if it's too conspiracy theories, then it kind of gets dangerous in some point, I would say. But I'm in Europe, and of course, we don't have free speech like in the US. We have also restricted speech. We cannot say to someone openly that he is an a-hole, for example, then we can get sued actually for that. So there is our laws are different here. So I have a different perspective on that, because I was raised in the system here. So, but still,
and
my take on it.
And I just wanted to be clear, like, I don't agree with every decision that will be made or that is said.
Me too,
I'm just here to pretty much just tell you, like, what's happening in this space. And we, like, our club, our organization, and myself, like, we are big supporters of Elon and what he's doing. But with everything, you're not going to agree with everything, but that doesn't mean you can't support them, And so
I would say so.
It's just one of those things where, things are changing every day, especially, but we all know, like, Elon's the doormat right now. Everyone is after him. For better or worse. I think people are trying their best to cancel him as much as possible. He probably does certain things that are helpful and certain things that aren't. But at the end of the day, he is
on the long term. It's positive, exactly. I would say. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to show one clip here for 1 second, and because I think that's totally on point. It was the intro from the last episode I did, but this edit took also very long, and I think it's very fitting, because it kind of shows how the situation is with X, because, let's see for yourself here.
Disney feels comfortable advertising children's movies. Those are good indicators that Twitter is a good place to advertise.
You moved to Texas, then you went back up to San Francisco because of Twitter.
The pain level of Twitter has been extremely high. I sold a lot of Tesla stock to close this deal.
If McDonald's or Coca-Cola thinks that they want their ads up against, I don't know, swastikas, they can do that.
Pressuring advertisers is essentially a tactic of like, let's hit them where it hurts.
The thing about censorship is, for those who would advocate it, just remember, at some point, that will be turned on you.
He should be more careful. But this is a reckless individual who ended up bringing us into the era of electric vehicles.
Tesla was the most shorted stock in the history of stock markets. They wanted Tesla to die so bad they could taste it.
This is one of the most interestingly complex persons around.
My strong intuitive sense is that having a public platform that is maximally trusted, broadly inclusive.
They want to turn us into factory farm humans so the globalists can have the future.
Globalists are short-sighted. The bravery that's required to resist the globalist oppression has to happen now. I'll answer the question.
Your heart is always in the right place. You are trying to fix this world.
A good sign as to whether there's free speech is someone you don't like allowed to say something you don't like. I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
In America, sometimes we think binary. Hero, villain.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself. Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob. Offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
Yeah. So that was just the intro. I'm going to leave it here, but I think it summarizes it pretty much with all the things that were happening with X and the trajectory. What's your thoughts on the video that I've compiled here for 1 second? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where Elon is innovating at an insane rate, and in every company that he is working at, right? Whether that's X, whether that's Tesla, whether that's SpaceX, all of his companies are, and he's having a huge impact. I mean, even if you take away some of the stuff he has been doing or saying on X, it's one of those things where like X is 10 times better than it was 1 year ago when it had 80% more employees, right? They laid off out of 100 people, they laid off 80%. It's one of those things where, again, Elon is, he wants to have a platform that will be the everything app. So I don't even think you and I can fully understand what does that mean. Like, because, I don't even think in Europe, you have like a WeChat, right? Where WeChat is like what you use in China. And that is what he's trying to create. So, even having an open platform is just one aspect of all of the things that he is trying to create. Right. And so I think that's, he's thinking about that, and having an open platform is just one of those aspects. But it's also one of those things where the people that were his biggest supporters are now the people that are coming after him, hard. And so, and it's one of those things where, Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, and Mark Benioff bought another publication. It's just one of those things, like, people like billionaires have had their kind of own form of publication. The difference is X is not necessarily an official publication, but it is, because it's the world town square. It's the live pulse. And what has he also done? He's also created probably one of the best chatbots ever made. Chatbots, Grok, like OpenAI can't even keep up, because OpenAI, let's say, even if it's using Bing is an aggregator of news. It's not live feeds. And again, these other platforms are not created in the same way. Because even if you look at TikTok, right, like your For You section is just, it could be 3 days old, but it's something that it's going to play for you now, versus, Twitter, you can kind of migrate between,
it's live,
exactly. And it's a live conversation that's happening. And, the other platforms have that, but Grok sitting on top of the X database is absolutely insane. And even when Elon bought it, I don't think he even realized what exactly he was buying. But imagine you have Like it's like with Tesla and having real world AI. It's one of those things where he essentially bought real world AI, but for news and for, you know, really like live news of what's going on. And I don't think he even realized that. And what did he do?
I would say he realized it. But that's my take. But please go on.
I would say. Well, I don't know if Grok, like, at least when I had my interview back in May of 2022, like that was not part of the discussion.
No, of course,
like AI, you know. But obviously, you know, when the acquisition happened and when, you know, ChatGPT and all this other stuff, and even, you know, when he decided, okay, I need to deal with AI stuff, even though he had given $100 million to OpenAI, then I think he's realizing this is like literally X data is a gold mine. And he even had to shut off like ChatGPT. He even said, I think he responded to ChatGPT, "Hi, son," or something like that. It's like, because all of the data that's been fed into ChatGPT is from, you know, scraped data from Twitter or X. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, you know, this is nothing. There's nothing new. Elon is going to be Elon. He's going to voice his opinion. If this is not a person that you want running a company that you're invested in and other things like that, then that comes
don't
with
invest.
it. Yeah, don't invest. Yeah. You have a choice. You have a choice.
Yes.
If it's also
You're
not a
forced.
platform, if it's also not a platform you want to be on, you don't have to be on it. It's but at the same time, like what X is doing and going to become is very exciting. Like I'm very you know, I was a early tester for even Grok. And so just seeing the capabilities of having a real bot, a bot that's real time is insane. Like I could tell it to type in teslafix.com, go write me a bio on yourself and come back. And it can do that. You know, what other ChatGPT can't do that because it can say, oh, as of September of 2021, right? And so, you know, I think that this is always going to be the question, right? Like this is, you know, 5-10 years from now, we're still going to be talking about, oh, you know, why is Elon saying or doing these things? But it's just, this is who he is. And so, yeah, I mean, just for the record, this is kind of what you get. It's best that you know this, but it shouldn't be surprising. Don't be surprised when he accidentally says something that he supports someone that you don't like.
Yeah, and what I also wanted to say here is the consistency that he has is another thing. People just see bits and pieces and cutouts from a certain section or a part of an interview with the "go F yourself" and stuff, but they don't really know the story behind it. And X was severely attacked, actually. That's why he was so vocal. And he said, all right, how about we don't go with advertisers anymore and do the premium model more? Of course, he has to raise money now for X as well. And Ross Gerber told on my channel, no, it should be Grok should be integrated in Tesla because Tesla has 26 billion sitting around and X doesn't. So, and he's invested in both companies. But needless to say, what I wanted to say is Elon has a consistency in the things he said. I've checked interviews from the past, and it's totally aligned with the things he said now. The interesting thing about X is, of course, you can disagree with Elon Musk, and I can disagree with Elon Musk on certain things. And the automatic thumbs up thing came up again. But what's really interesting is, what is community notes? We can community note Elon if he says something that is a conspiracy theory or something that is out of place and he didn't get right. That's the beauty of community notes. And my thought is they're going to track really good and precise what the people that write those community notes write. And then the algorithm learns it. And then we have an algorithm actually that is capable, or a large language model that is capable of identifying truth by scanning the internet and checking facts. And if something like this happens, then we have a interesting way, a super intelligence almost, an AI that can differentiate between falsehood and truth. And this is the I would say the next step down the line, the big leap that we're gonna see also with the bot and with the cars and with the personal assistants we have, because then you are sitting in your car, your AI in your car remembers what you've talked about last time. They know the context. They are on the pulse of the it's on the public town square. We know everything. He knows everything. What's happening right now at the moment. He can check facts. He can identify truth, kind of. And now we are in an area which is very interesting that makes this data set so super valuable, and also the thing behind it. And of course, awesome. Elon can be community noted as well. So. That's the open platform. That's the thing. You can disagree with Elon and you can agree with Elon, and we can have a discourse about ideas. And this is also important to form new ideas for the future. That's what he wanted to push. I think the creativity of the people back again, because we need a middle ground again and come together more. Because we should discuss openly, and that's important. And since the internet is a part of our everyday life, we need to have a platform that's also neutral. That's very important. And that's my angle here.
No, and right. I would agree with that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, I think we've already spent a lot of time, and I think it was already such a juicy episode. I really enjoyed the conversation so far. So for the audience, maybe if you have a question or something that you found was the best thing in 2023, please write it down below. And also your anticipation for 2024 would be interesting. So please write down below what you think is going to happen, what you think, and do you like Elon or not? You can also write something like this. I'm all for open discussion or criticism, as always. And John, maybe you have something you want to add for the end of the episode, or something to say.
Yeah. I think 2024, from Tesla's perspective, is going to be an amazing year. They're going to continue to innovate. I'm looking again forward to seeing how the auto industry shakes out, how the full self-driving updates continue to come, the new products like the Tesla Semi, the Cybertruck production ramp, along with the robotaxi. So a lot of exciting things, and Elon is going to continue to be Elon. He's going to, I'm excited. I'm personally excited to see how X is going to adapt and how it's going to grow. It's gotten so much better in the past year. And I personally like to promote a lot of the motivational things that he's doing, just talking about his history and partially celebrating some of those things that he's done, because there's very few times where people actually get to celebrate the long journey that they've had while they're alive. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
That's typically, kind of has been our voice and our focus on top of the Tesla space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree.
Thank you for having me. I always love coming on your channel, and I'm really thankful that we were able to carve out this time today.
Yeah, totally. And of course, please, everybody, follow Tesla Owners Silicon Valley, or John, on X, and also on his great channel. They have a great podcast there, the Tesla Beat podcast, where I also was a guest 2 times, I think. And also Amy is always there from X, so very exclusive
Jeff and Joe.
Jeff, of course. Jeff I have to mention that. And also Joe, also a channel favorite here. So super exciting stuff, and let's see how the next year will be. I would say a happy New Year to everybody when it's up, when you went through the year, and hopefully we're gonna have a calm or a better year with low interest rates, that we can shop our Cybertrucks or something like this, and that the payments are better, and that the world gets a little bit brighter now. We had enough crisis for the last year, so I would say that health and everything is very important, and that people come together more. That will be my take for the next year.
I agree with that.
Awesome. All right, John, thank you very much for being on. And there's only one last thing to say now, and that's, of course, goodbye, everybody.
Isn't this episode awesome? Let's accelerate the pace of innovation by subscribing to TeslaFix. This is my absolute favorite channel on the whole interwebs.